All right, let's look at our sample test solutions for 10-1 to 10-2. Remember that you can use a graphing calculator for this test. You're going to want one of those. And you also have a formula sheet with all these formulas on it. So no memorization, just using them correctly. Okay, so for the first one, they told me given triangle ABC, angle B is 20 degrees, angle C is 100 degrees, and side C is 40. So I went ahead and put those on a triangle over here just so I could envision it a little bit. And they're going to ask me to find angle A, and side B. Okay, so first off, if I know two angles of a triangle, I can subtract from 180 to get the third angle. So that's how I can find angle A easily. All right, then to find side A or side B, either one. So first off, you'll notice that I have a pair of C's. So since I have a pair of C's, I could set that equal to my B's and find that unknown B. Or I could set it equal to my A's now that I figured out A is 60 and find my unknown A. So first off, I did B. So I set my C's equal to my B's. And so they told me that angle C was 100, little c was 40. Angle B was 20, and side B is what we're trying to find. So when I have one fraction equals another, I'm going to cross multiply. So if I cross multiply, then I'm going to have B times the sine of C is equal to, B times the sine of 100 is equal to 40 times the sine of 20. So then to get B by itself, I'm just going to divide both sides by sine 100. So you can put this whole thing in your calculator at one time. We practiced that in class. So use your fraction builder button on your calculator. That's alpha, and then the X button, the xt theta n button right beside the green alpha button. And that will give you a fraction, and then you can literally type your numerator in and type your denominator in. You definitely want to be in degree mode for this whole test, and I did put that in bold print on the top of the test to remind you, but go ahead and switch it to degree mode while you're doing your practice test. Okay, so now we know that little b is 13.89, so now we want to find side A. So to find side A, again, I could set my b's equal to my a's, but if I did something wrong in finding b, then that's going to mess A up as well. So anytime I can, I'm going to go back to my given information, which was my C's. So I'm going to set my C's equal to my A's. So we'll fill in the values that we know. Again, we're going to cross multiply like we did a moment ago. And then to get A by itself, I need to get rid of the sine 100. So I'm going to divide both sides by sine 100. So I'm going to put this whole thing in my calculator at one time, and it will tell me that A is equal to 35.18, and I have solved that triangle. All right, then for number 2, they told me that angle C was equal to 130, side B was equal to 8, and side C was equal to 16. All right, so for this one, remember, if I want to know if I can use law of sines, the question is, do I have a pair? And so, yes, I do have a pair of C's. So I can use law of sines. So I'm going to set my C's equal to the only other value I have is my B. So I'm going to set my C's equal to my B's. So plug in, we knew angle C was 130, side C was 16, and side B was 8. That was all given. So then we're going to cross multiply. So 8 times sine 30 is equal to 16 times sine B. So 8 sine 130 is equal to 16 sine B. So to get sine B by itself, divide by 16. Now, when you put this whole thing in your calculator right here, you're going to get this itty bitty teeny tiny decimal. We are not saying that angle B is 0.4 of 1 degree. When you get an itty bitty value, that should let you know, hey, wait, there's still something else I need to do. Sine B is equal to this, not just angle B. So I need to get rid of the sine to get just plain angle B. And remember, to get rid of sine, we use its inverse. We use inverse sine. So second sine on your calculator of that decimal will give you angle B, which is 22.5. So now that you know angle C is 130 and angle B is 22.5, you can just subtract from 180 to find angle A. All right, and so now all I need to do is find side A. So again, because my C's were given, I'm going to go back to the given information and set that equal to the A's. So let's plug in the values that we know and the A that we just found. And then we're going to cross multiply again. So we'll get A sine 130 equals 16 sine 27.5. To get A by itself right here, we're going to divide both sides by sine 130. Throw this whole thing into your calculator at one time, and it will tell you that side A is 9.64. All right, then the other type of triangles that we had used law of cosines. The way that you know whether you use law of sines or law of cosines is if you have a pair. So for number 3, they told me angle C and side B and side A. I don't have a pair of anything. I have one A, one B, and one C. I don't have a pair of anything. I cannot use law of sines. So instead, I'm going to use law of cosines. Okay, well, there are 6 law of cosines formulas, so how do I know which one to use? If you look at all 6 of those formulas, every one of them have little a, little b, and little c in the formula. It has all 3 sides in the formula, but it only has one angle in the formula. The angle is your key. So if you look at my problem, I only know angle C. That means I have to use the law of cosines formula that has angle C in it. So there are 2 law of cosines formulas that have angle C in them. One finds angle C. Don't need that. Already got it. The other one finds side C. So that's the one that I want. So that's why we copied this off of our formula sheet. Okay, so now let's plug in what we know. So A is 12, B is 8, A is 12, B is 8, and then angle C is 106.3. Just put this whole thing in your calculator at one time and let it do the work for you. You don't even need to do this right here. Throw that whole thing in your calculator, and when you do, you get this humongous value that you're like, wow, that's something strange about that. Remember a second ago we said if you get something really small, you know something's wrong. If you get something really big, that reminds you, oh, I haven't taken the square root yet. This is C squared equals. So I'm going to take the square root of both sides, and then I get something that makes a little more sense. All right, so now I have a pair. So if you want to continue going with law of cosines, you can, or you can switch back to law of sines. For this one, I'm going to keep going with law of cosines just to show you how to find the angle on this, but you could very easily just switch back to law of sines on this. That would actually be what I would prefer. Okay, so if I need to find either angle A or angle B, either one, so I'm going to find angle A. I could have found angle B. It doesn't make any difference. I have the same information. All right, so I'm going to put in all 3 of my sides because we just found little c, right? So now we know side A, side B, and side C. So we're going to put all those in. And so that's going to be b squared plus c squared minus a squared. And I kept all my decimal places here, so my answer would be as accurate as possible. And then over 2 times b times c. So when I throw that into my calculator, I get this itty bitty decimal again. So that reminds me, hey, I'm not done. That's what cosine A equals. I need to know just what angle A equals. I need to get rid of the cosine. So to do that, I use inverse cosine of that decimal, and then I'll get 45.4. So once I know 2 angles of the triangle, remember I can just subtract from 180 to get the third one. All right, for the next one, we have a side, side, side triangle. So again, I don't have a pair of anything. I have 1A, 1B, and 1C. So that lets me know that I'm going to have to use law of cosines. If I think I might want to switch back to law of sines, and I'm going to do that on this one since I didn't on the last one, I need to find my largest angle first so I don't run into that ambiguous case. So how do I know which is the largest angle? Well, it's going to be opposite the longest side. So since 21 is my longest side, then that means angle C is my largest angle. So that's what I want to solve for because I have enough information I could solve for angle A, B, or C. That's how I know which one to start with. So I'm going to copy that formula and I'm going to plug in side A, side B, and side C, and then side A and side B. And again, I'm going to get an itty bitty decimal. So that reminds me I got something else I still need to do. I've got to get rid of cosine, so I'm going to do second cosine or inverse cosine of that decimal, and then that gives me angle C. Now I have a pair, right? So now I have angle C and side C, so now I could switch back to law of sines. So I'm going to use my pair of C's and set them equal to either my A's or my B's. It does not matter. I chose the B's, but I could have chosen the A's just the same. So we'll plug in what we know, and again, we're going to cross multiply and then divide both sides by 21. And again, we put this in our calculator and we get a decimal because an itty bitty little decimal, because that's the sine of angle B. I have to do inverse sine to actually find angle B. And then once I know two angles of my triangle, then I can subtract from 180. Okay, so the triangles on your test are going to be mixed up tomorrow. So you're going to need to look at it and see, do I have a pair? If I do, I'm going to use law of sines. If I don't, I'm going to use law of cosines. If I'm using law of cosines, how do I know which of the 6 formulas to use? I look for the angle. Remember that sides A, B, and C are in every formula, but there is only one angle in every formula. That will tell me which formula to use. If it is a side, side, side triangle, and I think I want to switch back to using law of sines, I need to find the largest angle first, and that'll be opposite the longest side. So that would be why I chose C for that one. Okay, so that's the hard part. Now we get to do the easier problem. So for number 5, they asked me to find the area, and they gave me angle B, side A, and side C. Okay, so if I draw this out on a triangle, if you look at your formula sheet, you have an area formula for a side angle side and a side side side. This is obviously not a side side side. I have an angle right here, right? If you draw this out on a triangle, that is going to be a side angle side, right? So again, I have 3 formulas for this. So the way that I know which formula to use is by the angle. Every formula only has one angle in it. So since I have angle B, then I'm going to pick the formula that has B in it. So I'm going to say 1/2, A was 8, C was 15, and angle B was 20. Throw that whole thing into your calculator at one time, and that will be your area. For a side, side, side triangle, we have this area formula over here. And you'll notice that S is defined as A plus B plus C divided by 2. So we're going to take the 3 sides of our triangle, add them up and divide by 2. That's going to be our S value. That's going to go right here and right here and right here and right here. And then my 3 sides, A, B, and C, are going to go in these 3 spots. All right, so again, we're going to throw this whole thing in our calculator at one time. And if you come up here with a really large number, make sure that you took your square root. All right. Then for our word problems, now you'll notice that on your word problem, like I gave you the diagram. Really, the word problem is just for fun. You don't even need the wording there because I've given you the diagram that shows you exactly what you need to find. If it bothers you to have the other wording on there, like you can swap it out and just put A, B, and C on there if you want to. All right, so for this one, it says Chase incredibly fields a line drive at shortstop after the batter shows bunt. Chase throws the ball 40 feet to Brody to get the out at second. Then Brody impressively flips around to throw it 90 feet to Jackson, who's run over from the mound to cover first. Jackson races to reach the bag just in time to beat the runner and get the out. Raider double play. The crowd can see the angle from Chase to Brody to Jackson is 120 degrees. So what is the distance from Chase to first base? So again, you can see on the drawing that I've given you that you can see what it is you're trying to find. All right, so again, if you want to take all that other stuff off and make it just a normal triangle, you can. So I am looking for B. I don't have a pair of anything. I have 1A, 1B, and 1C. So I'm going to have to use law of cosines. And again, the angle is the key. I know angle B, and I'm looking for side B. So I'm going to use that formula from my formula sheet. So let's plug in what we know for A, C, and angle B. We're going to throw this whole thing in our calculator at one time. You don't even have to do this simplification. Just throw this one in. And again, if you get a really large value, don't forget to take the square root.